All right, ladies and gentlemen, we at day 31 for the 520 prison style push-up routine. Today gonna be a little different because we are gonna be adding some squats in there. So I'm not quite sure how that's gonna go, but we doing it. So today's podcast is Napoleon Hill, The Power of Accurate Thinking on the Resilient Mind podcast on Spotify. Let's get straight to it.
He became a multimillionaire within the following 4 years. I hope I'll have as much success with you in stepping your ambition up to where you're not willing to settle with life for a penny. Aim high. It's not going to cost you anything to aim high. You may not get as far as you aim, but you certainly get farther than you would if you don't aim at all. Get your sights raised up. Be ambitious. Be determined that you're going to
29 left.
what you have failed to become in the past. And number 8, ill health, often due to wrong thinking and improper diet. There's a lot of alibis on account of ill health, too, I can assure you. A lot of an imaginary ailments, or they call it hypochondria in materia medica. I don't know to what extent you've been coddling yourselves or babying yourselves on with this, that, and the other imaginary ailment, but if you have been doing that, why, grade yourself down pretty low on that one. Number 9,
28
environmental influences during childhood. Now, once in a great while, you will find that the influences upon a person during childhood are of such a negative nature that they go all the way through life with those negative influences. I'm quite convinced that if I had been permitted to continue in my childhood as I started out, before my stepmother came into the picture, that I really and truly would have become a second Jesse James, only I would have been able to shoot faster and straighter than he did.
28, 27 left.
Number 10, lack of persistence in following through with one's duties. There's a honey. Lack of persistence in following through with one's duties. What is it that causes people to fail to follow through when they start something? What's the main reason why people do not follow through and do the thing right and to see it's done right? Lack of motive. That's the idea. They don't want to do it badly enough.
27, 26
left.
left.
Anything that I want to follow through on, but if I don't want to follow through, I can find a lot of alibis to keep from doing it. Is it profitable for you to get into the habit of following through when you undertake something, or is it profitable for you to permit yourself to be sidetracked? Well, all right, let's put the question another way. How do you rate on that one? That's the important thing. How do you rate on that one? Do you follow through, or are you easily sidetracked? Or are you easily dissuaded from doing a thing when somebody criticizes you?
26, 25
Believe
left.
you me, if I had been afraid of criticism, I never would have gotten anywhere in life. I got to the point eventually at which I really accorded criticism because it only put the fight in me. And I found out that when that fight was in me, I did a much better job, and that carried through better. There are a lot of people in this world who fail because they lack that driving force, don't you know, that causes them to carry through, and especially when the going is hard.
25,
No matter what
24
you're
left.
doing, you're going to run into that period when the going is hard. If it's a new business, you probably need finances that you don't have in the beginning. Or if it's a profession, you will need clients that you don't have in the beginning. Or if it's a new job, you'll need recognition with your employer that you don't have. You have to earn that recognition. The going is always hard with people in the beginning, and that's where you need this follow-through. Number 11,
24, 23 left.
A negative mental attitude, the habit of keeping your mind negative all the time. Now, which are you? Preponderantly negative most of the time, or are you preponderantly positive? When you see a donut, what do you see first? Do you see the hole first, or the donut? Well, that's fine. You know, when you go to eat a donut, you don't eat the hole, do you? You just eat the donut.
23, 22 left.
But there are a lot of people who, when they come across a problem, they are like the fellow who sees the hole in the donut and growls about it because it took so much of the nice cake out, but does not see the donut itself. Negative mental attitude. What is the result of a person who has the habit of allowing his mind to become negative and remain negative? What happens to that kind of
22,
person?
21 left.
You can't put him in jail for it. You can't sue him for it. A negative mind repels, doesn't it? It repels people. A positive mind attracts. Attracts what? People who harmonize with your mental attitude, your character. An old saying of birds of a feather flock together. Well, negative birds flock to the negative mind, and positive birds flock to the positive
21,
mind.
20 left.
Who has control over your mind? Who determines whether it's positive or negative? Now then, there's where I want you to grade yourself on the extent to which you exercise that prerogative. And that's the most precious thing that you have on the face of this earth or ever will have. It's the only thing that you have complete, unchallenged, and unchallengeable control over. Is the right to make your mind positive and keep it that way, or make it negative, allow the circumstances of life to make it negative. And you have to work at it if you're going to keep your mind positive, because, for what reason? That's right. So much negative influences around you. So many people, so many circumstances that are negative, that if you're going to become a part of those, instead of creating your own
19, 18
your
left.
mind, then most of the time you'll be negative. Do you have a very clear concept of what the difference is between a negative mind and a positive mind? Can you picture what happens in the chemistry of the brain when your mind is positive and when it's negative? Have you ever demonstrated or experienced in your own life the differences between your achievements when you are afraid
18,
and
17
achievements when you're
left.
not afraid? You have. Like in selling or like in doing anything else, in teaching or in lecturing or in writing or anything else. When I first wrote Think and Grow Rich, I wrote it while I was working for President Roosevelt during that bad depression during his first term. And I wrote it in that same negative mental attitude that everybody else was in. In other words, it was forced upon me unconsciously.
17, 16 left.
Several years later, when I got that book out and read it, I recognized it was not a saleable book because of the tempo of it being negative. And you can pick that up. A reader will pick up exactly the mental attitude that a writer is in when he writes a book, no matter what kind of language or terminology he uses. So I sat down to my typewriter. I didn't change a word in that book. I sat down to my typewriter when I was in a new frame of mind, up on the beam, as we say, 100%
16, 15
positive.
left.
And I typed that book in that frame of mind, and that's the thing that made that book click. You can't afford to do anything when you're negative. Anything that you expect to benefit you. Anything that you expect to influence other people.
15,
If you
14
want to
left.
get people to cooperate with you, or if you want to sell people something, or if you want to make a good impression upon people, don't come near them until you're in a positive frame of mind. Now, the reason I have emphasized that so much, I want to give you a chance to grade yourself accurately on that one. And in doing that, you will grade yourself on
14,
the
13
average
left.
state of mind that you maintain, not just on the state of mind at any given time for a short time. I'll tell you a good rule to go by, which will enable you to determine to a large extent whether or not you are more positive than you are negative. Would you like to have that rule? Observe how you feel when you wake up in the morning and start to get out.
13, 12 left.
And if you're not in a good frame of mind, then I'll tell you right now, it's because of a lot of thought habits that have preceded that hour, the day before perhaps, that have been negative. You can make yourself very ill by allowing your mind to become negative. And
12, 11 left.
the next morning in particular. You see, when you come out of sleep, you're just fresh from coming out of from under the influence of your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind has been off duty, and it goes back on duty, and it finds a mess there that you've got to clean up. That the subconscious mind has been stirring up all night long.
11, 10 left.
But if you wake up full of joy and you want to get out and get at what you're going to do today, well, the chances are that you've been pretty positive the day before, and maybe several days before.
10.
Number 12, lack of control over the emotions, both the negative and the positive. Have you ever thought that it's just as necessary to control your positive emotions as is your negative ones? Why is that?
All right, we got 4 sets of 25. And then that'll conclude our 520 prison style push-up routine. And then we got 60 squats to hit. Let's get it, baby.
Why in the world would I want to control the emotion of love, for instance? Lady, it not only can get you in hot water, it can scald you. That was a good one. That was a very good one. And that was a very spontaneous reply you gave, too. You must have had some experience.
That's 50. 50 left.
Well, now let's take another emotion. Desire for financial gain, for money, for instance. You need to control that? Why? You're not afraid of getting too much, are you? Yes, getting it the wrong way. Now you said it. Well, there could be such a thing as you're working that emotion up to where you want to get too much. I met a lot of people who had too much money for their own good, especially people who got it without earning it, like people who inherited it, for instance. Would you be interested in knowing why they call me Napoleon? Would you be interested in knowing? Well, I'm going to tell you because it makes a good point here. My father named me, I being the eldest son of the first child, my father named me after my great uncle, Napoleon Hill of Memphis, Tennessee, who was a multimillionaire cotton broker, hoping that when Uncle Napoleon died that I would get some of the money. Well, he died, and I didn't get any of the money. And when I found out that I was not going to get any of it, I felt very badly. But later on, as I swapped some of my youth for wisdom and observed what happened to the ones who did get it, I was thankfully.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's 520 reps. We got 60 squats to hit, baby. Let's get it.
I'm really grateful that I didn't get a dime of it, because I learned a better way of getting it for myself without having it given to me. Well, number 13, the desire for something for nothing. Are you ever troubled with that? The desire for something for nothing, or the desire for something for less than its value, the desire for something without being willing to give adequate compensation for it. Are you ever troubled with that tendency? Well, now, who of us hasn't been at one time or another? I'd like to ask. But after all, you can have a lot of faults, but what you want to do is to find out what they are and start getting rid of them. That's why we're making this analysis. We're giving you a chance to come face to face and be trial judge, be defendant, be prosecutor all at one time. And then you make the decision finally. And if you make it accurately, it'd be far better for you to find your faults than it would be for me to find them for you. Because if you find them, you're not going to spin any alibis. You're going to try to get rid of them. And number 14, lack of the habit of reaching decisions promptly and firmly. Now, do you reach decisions promptly and firmly? Or do you reach decisions very slowly, and after you reach them, do you allow the first person that comes along to reverse you?
40 left.
Or do you allow circumstances to reverse your decision without a sound reason? To what extent do you stand by your decisions after you make them? Just under what circumstances would you reverse the decisions you'd made incidentally? That's right, and you should hold an open mind on that subject at all times. You should never make a decision and say, that's it, and I'm going to stand by it forever, because there might be something developed later on that would prompt you to reverse that decision. And you know, there are some people who are known as stubborn, who, and once they've made a decision, right or wrong, they die by it. I've seen people like that, a lot of them, who would just rather die than to reverse themselves or have somebody reverse them on a decision. Of course, you're not like that. That is, if you're really indoctrinated with this philosophy, you may have been like that once, but you're not like that now, or you're not going to be like that after tonight. Number 15, one or more of the 7 basic fears. I'm not going to dwell on them because there are the 7 basic fears, and you can grade yourself on that one at your leisure. You know, this is a wonderful world we're living in, a wonderful life. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm doing just what I am. And if unpleasant circumstances cross my path, I'm very glad for that too, because I'll find out whether I'm stronger than the circumstances or not. And as long as I can conquer them and go over them, I'm not going to worry about circumstances, about things that oppose me, people that don't like me, people that say mean things about me. I don't worry about that. What I would worry about would be if people said mean things about me and I'd examine myself and found out they were telling the truth. But as long as they're not telling the truth, why, I can stand back and laugh at them, how foolish they are and how much damage they're doing themselves. Now, here's the honey, number 16, the wrong selection of a mate in marriage. Now, don't be too quick to grade yourself on that one. If you've made a 100% mistake on that, look around before you grade yourself and see if you can't do something about correcting that mistake. Maybe resell yourself. I've known of that being done too, haven't you? Oh, you know there's some people who believe that all marriages are made in heaven. Well, it would be a wonderful thing if they were, but I've seen some that were not made in heaven. I don't know where else they might have been made, but they certainly weren't made in heaven. Also, I've seen some business marriages, some business relationships that were not made in heaven. I've helped to correct a lot of those, believe you me. Business associates that were not working together in the spirit of harmony. And there's no business on the face of this earth that can succeed unless the people at the top level at least are working in harmony.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
And there's no household, there's no house.
That's 520 reps, 60 squats. My name is D-Rex. Welcome to Rich Before Gaming. Catch you next time, and I'm out. Peace.